since the Cleveland Browns have played a football game. Well, that is about to change a little bit less than 24 hours from now. Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, Monday Night Football. Can the Cleveland Browns continue the momentum? We'll talk about it. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate everybody who makes the show their first listen. Of course, everybody has become an everydayer. We want everybody and then some to become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend, celebrating your family, celebrating your friends, good food, football, just getting a little break from it all. It is already December. It is already December 1st. Christmas, less than 4 weeks away. The football season goes fast. The holiday season goes fast. Hopefully, the Cleveland Browns come out and play fast on Monday night. A couple quick things here. Latest injury reports for the Browns, significant. Cedric Tillman out. Kind of hate this for the kid. Certainly it's been almost 10 days now and still never even got back to practice with the concussion. So certainly, hope for things to start trending positive for Cedric Tillman. Jedrick Wills will be out. And to any reporter reporting that, Jedrick Wills is one of 3 starters out for this game, I'm not going there. I got to be honest. I'm not even sure if Jedrick Wills is going to play another snap for this team. Also, for the Browns, Juan Thornhill will be out after re-aggravating the calf injury Thursday night against the Steelers. Was a better game for Juan Thornhill, unfortunately. And this thing has been pretty much an issue for Juan Thornhill his entire 2 years here in Cleveland, this calf injury. I don't know if I would describe it as significant. My guess is we'll get to see young Rodney Hickman in addition of more of Rodney McLeod, and of course Grant Delpit manning his role closer to the line of scrimmage. For the Broncos, cornerback Riley Moss been playing really, really well opposite of Patrick Surtain Jr. will be out. So you figure that, number 2 wide receiver for the Browns, number 2 cornerback for the Broncos kind of cancels these others out. Those will certainly be matchups to watch, because if Surtain Jr. is on Jerry Jeudy quite often, which is what pretty much everybody anticipates to happen, who will be the guy that steps up? Will it be that new starting outside corner for the Broncos? Will it be an Elijah Moore? Will it be a Jamari Thrash? We will certainly see it all unfold, of course, on Monday Night Football. Browns made a couple additions to the roster towards the end of last week. So, I'm not going to lie, I'm actually kind of excited about both of these. We talked so much about guys we wanted to see once we kind of realized that, the sun had set on the Browns 2024 season. Unfortunately for some of those guys, DeJuan Jones, Mike Hall Jr., Alex Wright, their seasons are pretty much already over. Maybe Mike Hall makes it back. The other 2 are not. So you were kind of looking for guys that you wanted to kind of basically keep your eyes on, and see if they could find a way to solidify themselves a role here in 2025. James Houston, 8 sacks as a rookie in 2022 as a 6th-round pick. That's crazy impressive, certainly. A little bit undersized, but just goes. He's got a great motor. Certainly fell out of favor in Detroit as the team improved. So did the roster. Unfortunately, James Houston, it was unable to keep his spot in the pecking order in that defensive end rotation. So the Browns ended up sending Zadarius Smith to the Detroit Lions. It ended up costing James Houston his job in Detroit. And now James Houston, your edge rusher here with the Cleveland Browns. Liked him. It was really going to be difficult coming from Jackson State, kind of progressing where he would be and how he would work out in the NFL. But to this point for James Houston, this is a guy worth keeping his eye on. He's 24 years old. So is Cam Thomas, who they just brought in. Browns need pass rushers, really kind of down to 3 edges. Sam Kamara out with a head injury. I liked Ellerson Smith. I liked what I saw from Ellerson Smith in the Pittsburgh Steelers game. The Browns did release Ellerson Smith. They had to have 1 roster opening, which James Houston took. They essentially chose Cam Thomas and let Ellerson Smith off the 53-man roster. Luckily, Ellerson Smith was able to make his way to the practice squad So all things to monitor here. Cam Thomas was a third-round pick in the 2022 draft. He was a player we really liked. We did a lot of talking about him. Pete Smith and I, we spent a lot of time covering Cam Thomas out of San Diego State. Went in that area a little after Alex Wright. Certainly everybody would have taken Alex Wright, certainly over Cam Thomas. A little bit, playing time in the Arizona Cardinals. Then got traded, I believe it was either late this offseason or early summer, to the Kansas City Chiefs. Unable to find really a home there. So the Browns bring in two 24-year-old pass rushers, both part of the 2022 draft class, where the Browns got Cedric Tillman, where the Browns got Alex Wright. So certainly names to watch here, and I'm excited for over the next couple of weeks. The Browns, can this travel? Now this is, Denver's never an easy place to play. It has never been an easy place to play. This is an upstart Broncos team who right now flirting, with the possibility of making the playoffs this year. This is a team that might be here a year earlier than expected. A lot of that's certainly due to quarterback Bo Nix, and we'll talk about that in the second half. They get after the quarterback. The Denver Broncos really get after the quarterback. Nick Bonito, certainly former Ohio State Buckeye, 10 sacks to this point this season. I believe Broncos have 44 overall sacks to this point. This team gets after the quarterback. Certainly something that does not bode well for Jameis Winston. As epic as that touchdown run was on Thursday Night Football, wasn't very athletic, wasn't very fast. Jameis has had his issues. Certainly either taking sacks or, throwing the ball ill-advised when being attacked. So certainly for Jameis Winston, this is something that's probably going to be one of the biggest factors of this game, is whether or not, Jameis Winston can sustain the pass rush of this Denver Bronco team. Missing one player from the secondary, but, the Browns missing a receiver as well. So kind of a wash there on both ends. Denver does a pretty good job controlling the run game. Again, it seems like every week we talk about the Browns going into the run games and when it comes to the run game, the opponent really doesn't run that well. The Browns don't really run that well. Always a key sticking point. Which team finally gets to, flip that narrative of what people think about them and their run game. Look, Nick Chubb is out there, and look, Nick Chubb is not 100% right now. This is not the Nick Chubb that we've seen. I think he's, as far as the way he moves, you can see maybe it's still a little limited. Does a 10-day break help Nick Chubb? I imagine this is something that's going to continue to improve, for Nick. The more he gets out there, the more he gets loose, the more he gets into it. So again, can the Browns bring a successful run game? Yes, they were able to score some rushing touchdowns Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the overall numbers were not there. Hopefully Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford can give this team a little something so we can get some balance for the Cleveland Browns on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to continue here. We are going to talk about that impressive rookie quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I am Jeff Lloyd. Your latest Locked On Browns rolls on. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. Hey, Locked On Browns fans. I know you guys are like me, and your holiday shopping list is, let's just say, far from complete. Well, if that's the case, I've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fan in your life. Perhaps you've heard of IceShaker. It's a little bit more than what you guys probably think. IceShaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and MLB, and will make a really cool and ideal gift. Created by and used by the Gronkowski brothers, so it can stand some punishment. IceShakers has sold over 1 million bottles. They've changed the game with workout bottles, and this is the gift you've been looking for. Smart idea, right? What's everybody's number one New Year's resolution? I'm gonna get my butt back into the gym. Well, coax them along with an IceShaker. You can go to IceShaker.com and use the code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout to save 25% on your order. It's got a patented twist-in agitator that breaks down powders, but is silent when you shake it instead of the annoying ball. Glung, 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 glung. You all know what I'm talking about. If you guys go to the gym, you already know. It is third-party tested. It will hold ice up for 30-plus hours. The agitator works as a strainer as well and makes it a very solid tailgating cup to mix your drinks or cocktails. Order your team-branded Bottles today at IceShaker.com and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $25 off your order. IceShakers, show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market. IceShakers. This episode is brought to you by the fine folks at BetterHelp. For this time of the year, some people get overly excited. Some people just want to get through it. Some people get down a little bit. Look, we got a lot of sports. I think we all get a little depressed. The sun sets so early. There's a lot of football on. So how do you stay cozy during the winter months? I can't lie to you guys. My fireplace has become probably one of my best friends. A, keeps me warm. B, lets me relax. But you know what else can help you relax? Therapy. Therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. You got to understand it yourself, and you can't always be honest with everybody, but you have to be honest with yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time if it's just not working, and there will not be an additional charge. Find comfort this December. Visit BetterHelp.com. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. This is Jeff Lloyd. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Appreciate everybody who makes the show their first listen every single day. The everydayers know you want to be in on the action. You want to become an everydayer. So subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Browns will travel Monday night on the road in Denver against an upstart Broncos team led by quarterback Bo Nix. There's been a lot of talk, certainly about quarterbacks, their age, their play in college, how their adaptation to the NFL is working. Now, Bo Nix is a little bit, I don't want to say an outlier because it doesn't seem like that would be the case. But when we're talking about quarterback and quarterback struggles, we talk about Anthony Richardson. What do we say? Very young. Caleb Williams, very young. Bo Nix went the more traditional route, spent a good amount of time in college, spent time at more than one university. Bo Nix, you won the job late in the summer. There's kind of was the path, and I think Denver was all then more committed to go with Bo Nix. Completion percentage of almost 65%. Touchdowns to interceptions, 60-6. He is running the ball. I'm not saying he's a running quarterback, but he is taking what the defenses are giving him. He's getting almost 5 yards per rush. These are simple things you do as a quarterback. You don't have to be elite. You do these simple things. You complete most of your passes. You don't turn the ball over. You take what the defense gives you. And not only has he done that with his legs, he's done that with his arm. He's got a running back on this team, Jonte Williams. He's got 37 receptions. What does that tell you? I am going to take what you give me. Certainly there are shot plays. And he's got a receiver like Courtland Sutton who can do that. And Browns fans know we have seen Courtland Sutton do that on our Cleveland Browns, on Denzel Ward at times. Now, the thing with Bo Nix, and one of the things that may be a little bit interesting for rookie quarterbacks, but again, when we talk about Bo Nix, we're not necessarily talking about your ordinary rookie quarterback these days. Now, Bo Nix seems to excel against zone coverage, which is pretty impressive because you think the higher of level of football play you go, there is the sophistication, the athleticism, the overall talent of NFL defenders to try to hide coverage as good as possible, zone coverage as good as possible. I look like I've got the inside flat when I actually have the outside flat, vice versa, this, that, and the other thing. Bo has done a great job with this to this point. The one area where Bo Nix has kind of struggled is against man coverage. Well, Cleveland Browns, Jim Schwartz, defensive scheme, defensive philosophy is rush the quarterback and play a lot of man coverage. So this is going to be one of those, obviously, my weakness against your strength. Will the Browns' strength continue to be strong? Will Bo Nix's weakness continue to be weak? We'll see. It's not always that simple, kids. We all know that, right? Denver does not really run the ball that great. Again, Williams is their top ball carrier. He has their lowest yards per carry. Bo Nix is certainly able to help himself out with his feet. Audric Estime, first things first, you cannot wear number 37. So, Denver, what are you doing? Get this kid a legitimate number 37 out of running back. My good God. But everybody who is a Locked On Browns everydayer knows the affinity I had with Audric Estime as a product. Maybe it is not just because he's from the same area of the United States as me. But I thought he ran well. His speed got everybody a little scared at the combine. But when you looked at his size, speed was proportionate to size. Hasn't gotten a lot of run yet. Missed, I want to believe, it was mostly maybe the first 5 weeks. I think he came back to the active roster. I think it was right around October 12th. Don't quote me, but I think that might be the actual day. Starting to pick up a little steam here, starting to get a little involved. He's at like 4.6, 4.7 yards per carry. There could be a progression where maybe the Broncos are basically kind of saying, hey, let's see what we got here. Certainly in this guy. Cortland Sutton is a pain in the butt, as he always has been. But what kind of impresses you with Denver is they get after the quarterback. They pass block well on defense. They stop the run well, like I said earlier. So, I mean, it's kind of, trench teams, I know it seems so antiquated, in this day and age, but, trench play should determine what kind of team you are. The Browns have struggled with trench play this year, maybe because it tells you that it has something to go with the way everything works out. But again, this is going to be, push to shove here. This is not an ordinary 3-win football team in the Cleveland Browns. They have a lot more confidence in themselves now. They have a unity behind their new leader at quarterback in Jameis Winston. This team likes playing for Jameis. This team and Jameis have a nice vibe going right now. And I will say it, and I don't think I'm BSing about it. And I think it's, I think everybody agrees. It's a vibe that we have not seen between the other 52 men on the roster and the former starting quarterback. So now does it travel? Jameis Winston, headed to Denver. I'm assuming, I haven't heard much. I'm assuming the weather should be somewhat favorable. It seems more like the Midwest, and obviously everything flowing from Ontario down through the lakes, to the Ohios of the world. And certainly Buffalo got pelted. So all things to consider here. But, when Kevin Stefanski says, I want to play, we're going to play out the string, and my intention is to win each and every week, I believe Coach Stefanski. And I believe with the understanding and basically the support of the ownership that he and Andrew Berry will be back. Yes, I think this team winning games right now. Look, tanking, I get it. And you want to talk about roster building and draft and all that stuff. I understand the philosophy of it. But sometimes you need to deal with the mental makeup of your guys who are also going to be part of your season the next season. And you want to be out there fighting like dogs. And I think the Browns are going to be able to hopefully do just that tomorrow night against the Denver Broncos. We're going to get some final thoughts here. We're going to close it out. Monday Night Football is coming. The Denver Broncos against the Cleveland Browns out in Denver. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Living in New Jersey, we used to have the college football kickoff classic every year up at the Meadowlands. It was great. At the time, Rutgers was a very downtrodden program, so it wasn't such a lore to go see them. That certainly changed a little bit for Rutgers. But being at live football games, it's just a different type of thing. And yes, I'm going to say this for good weather games because I ain't going to freeze my butt off. But you can use Game Time Picks and filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. I highly suggest the Game Time Picks. The curation makes it easier to save more in sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can toggle the feature of all-in pricing. It shows the total up front. So that way, when you finally get to that final checkout, you're not saying, where did this extra $25, $35, $40 come from? You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the Game Time ticket coverage, the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. As always, we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, if you ain't part of it by now, making new plans, stand, subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. That's it. You're an everydayer. Show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Browns will travel Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. Again, Browns added 2 young pass rushers, former 2002 draft picks. James Houston comes over for the Detroit Lions. 8 sacks in 2022. Fell out of favor. Again, as the team got better, the roster got better. James Houston comes here hungry, wants to show something. I like hungry guys. I want guys fighting for something. That's what the Browns need right now. They need guys fighting for something, right? Cam Thomas, again, anybody who was an everydayer heard us talk a lot about Cam Thomas in the 2022 draft process. So the Browns will go in there and it's going to be a question of, can they just consistently get effort from each side of the ball? This is one of the biggest issues for the Cleveland Browns this entire season. You know, 1 week of the offense is playing well, but the defense and the special teams aren't. You guys can put in those games, can't you? You know, Mardi Gras. That's a hint, maybe. But there's been games where the defense played well, but the offense didn't. New York Giants. Remember that one? Then there's been times where the kicker and the special teams, again, New Orleans. Look, you need to have all 3 phases of your team working in the NFL to get victory. I'm not saying you got to be perfect in all 3, but you can't be flawed, especially when you're a team, that has injuries, had very inconsistent play from their former starting quarterback. You can't let the little things go. The little things, when you are a team battling, become the big things. Tackling, huge one. We have talked about this so much, where the Browns were inconsistent and just straight up poor in tackling. It was not the case against Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been the case at times this year, certainly. Now, not having Cedric Tillman, look, I hope Cedric Tillman gets back quickly, because I really think he was taking a legitimate climb. So you look at Jerry Jeudy, and look, Jerry Jeudy has been a beast for this team. Over 80 yards in the snow, Thursday Night Football against Pittsburgh Steelers. Totally what you expect from a guy who grew up in Deerfield Beach, Florida. But this is going to be interesting for Jerry Jeudy. There's some, probably unresolved feelings within Jerry Jeudy in his time in Denver, asked to be traded. And, I don't want to hear about bulletin board material. They asked Jerry Jeudy, I want to go win. I want to go beat these guys. Of course he does. Of course he does. Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain, first off, does not get the love he deserves. Patrick Surtain is one of the best corners in the NFL right this very second. Doesn't seem like he gets spoken of enough. Some guys, it just doesn't work that way. It's the weirdest thing, right? Especially when your father was a great player. So certainly odd from that respect as well. But this is probably going to be the key matchup here. And the thing is, it's a little more than just one thing. The key matchup is, do the Browns play away from this matchup of Jerry Jeudy versus Patrick Surtain? This can go a number of ways. Patrick Surtain's a good player, could shut down Jerry Jeudy, and the Browns could be chasing their tail, throwing targets, trying to create plays for Jerry Jeudy that maybe just won't come. Or there's another scenario to it. Does Jerry Jeudy, in a homecoming game where he certainly wants to prove that organization that they made a mistake, not really though, because he has to be traded, right? Do you get in your head? Do you get too into your head and you just don't go out there and rip it and play ball? Or do the Browns just say, you know what, you two go at it all day long, run patterns, let Pat run with you, and we're going to play 10-on-10 football everywhere else? There's certainly a lot this can work and how this can work. But it's going to come down most likely to that Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Surtain matchup. You want to get your number one player involved. But if the guy who is in charge of taking him away is just that good as well, I'll be whatever. I'll be the same. I will go tackle this from another angle. You need to work on running the ball more consistently. Get the defense off the field. Your offensive line has had issues this year. You would rather them be run blocking than pass blocking. Makes the big boys happy. Always keep your eyes on David Njoku, certainly in a prime time game. Had a couple big receptions, certainly had the 2-point reception against the Steelers. Remember, last year, Thursday night, the New York Jets, he was an absolute beast. We will be back, and we will talk about how this game works. I have a feeling the Cleveland Browns are going to go into Denver and put a big kink in the Denver Broncos postseason plans by stealing one on Monday Night Football. Cleveland Browns 23, Denver Broncos 20. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every day. The everyday crowd is a bunch of filthy animals, but they are my filthy animals. Become a filthy animal. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out Tyler Rowand. Titans got beat down today. Tyler's going to have something to say about that and the rest of the NFL. And Tony Wiggins, absolute garbage play on the hit on Trevor Lawrence today. And Tony Wiggins will tell you all about that and everything else that he's hot about in the NFL this week. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.